Who would have thought that after 15 years of marriage, it would all unravel because of betrayal? Yes, my wife cheated on me. We'd shared a life built on trust, raised an amazing son together, and maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't have discovered the truth. But fate had other plans, and twice we crossed paths with the same young woman. It all started when we decided to go to the cinema, a casual outing. Nothing fancy, just a midday movie to mark our son's new chapter as he moved into his own place. As we were buying tickets, we bumped into a charming girl who clearly knew my wife. When she recognized her, she greeted her with a wide smile, but when her eyes shifted to me, she froze. It was almost comical, watching the expression on her face shift from surprise to confusion. My wife quickly made introductions, and without missing a beat, pulled me away toward the theatre, citing that it was time to head in. Honestly, I couldn't tell you a thing about the movie we watched. My mind was elsewhere, spinning with thoughts about that strange encounter. The girl's reaction had caught me off guard. My heart was racing, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I voiced some concerns to my wife on the way home, but after hearing her reassuring responses, I managed to calm down. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. And then, as if by some strange twist of fate, we ran into her again. Same girl, same cheerful demeanor, this time holding a coffee cup, looking for a seat. When she spotted my wife, she waved enthusiastically and made her way over to us. I silently hoped she wouldn't come over, but with all the tables filled, there was no avoiding it. The greeting was awkward, and it was followed by a few surface-level questions as the tension between us hung in the air. But the way she kept glancing at me, it wasn't the usual way someone looks at a man. It was more like she was studying me, sizing me up. And then it hit me. The girl was so much younger than my wife. I was suddenly aware of just how young she was. My wife didn't have friends like that. And I could feel the familiar itch of discomfort, the warning signs in my gut. I could tell that my wife was getting nervous. "We should probably head out," she said, finishing her coffee in one swift gulp. "Yeah, I think I should get going too," the girl replied, hurriedly gathering her things. "It was nice to see you," Luna said with a smile as she turned back to me. "Honey, I'm going to freshen up. Are we heading home, or do we have other plans? Let's figure it out on the way." I kissed my wife's forehead, but in that moment, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. "Run. I'll be waiting for you here." Luna rushed off toward the restroom, and I quickly followed our recent acquaintance. I lightly touched her elbow and asked, "Wait, how do you know Luna?" There wasn't much time for conversation. "Excuse me." Her eyes widened in surprise, a hint of panic creeping in. "Please, let go of my hand." "I'm asking, how do you know my wife?" "Please, you don't understand," she stammered. "I saw the way you looked at her in the cinema earlier," I pressed. Weren't you expecting to see me?" She lowered her eyes to the floor and bit her lip, as though wrestling with herself, holding back the urge to speak. "So, I'm right then?" I asked, my voice steady but filled with tension. "You told me you knew each other from work. Please, just tell me the truth." She met my gaze, steadying me for a brief moment, before her eyes quickly darted to my shoulder. I could tell that Luna had finished and was making her way back. The girl spoke quietly now, almost as if confessing. Yes, we met a year ago, and now. She looked at me one last time. Please, let go of me. I need to go. Her fingers slipped out of my grip. She disappeared in an instant. I stood rooted to the spot, my mind spinning from the shock of this discovery. Strangely, his wife did not deny that she had an affair. She didn't beg or apologize in tears. No, she just calmly admitted it. She behaved with a strange sense of dignity. I was almost overwhelmed by her composure. She just apologized and then left to pack her things. When I got home, she was already gathering her clothes, moving around the room silently. "Are you really going to him?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "You're leaving me for some younger guy." She didn't respond immediately, but I could feel the tension in the room thickening. "I don't care what his name is," I snapped, kicking the pile of clothes on the floor. "How could you do this to us, to our son?" "At least he's ours. Don't be silly." My wife snapped, and anger flashed in her eyes. "Well, thank God for that. Though, to be honest, I never really doubted it." "You're right, you know. You'd better leave," I said softly, and without saying another word, my wife left the apartment. She actually returned that evening with a suitcase in her hand. It turns out that this Liam was married. It's funny, but she didn't seem to know about it. And his wife, of course, wasn't too happy to see her on their doorstep. In the end, the locker, her nickname, I guess, was left outside, while Liam's wife was in the kitchen, probably cleaning up some mess. As for Luna, she found herself at the ER, nursing the aftermath of what I assume was a rather intense encounter with a rolling pin. But Luna was still convinced of her lover's loyalty. I, on the other hand, had made the mistake of leaving the key to our apartment on the bedside table. When she came back, she knocked, called me on her cell, and sat crying in the hallway for hours. The next time I saw her, it was in court. Our lawyers were hashing out the details of dividing the property.